Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and today I've got you zoomed in on a little gauge that was sent to me by Mr. Rick Gearhart, and I'm going to show you what I do to check out a gauge before I decide to put it into service or whether I decide to send it out and get it worked on. This is an old Mitutoyo thousandths reading. It's their old long nose with the little flip switch on the side, which changes directions of the stylus. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some gauge blocks. I got a clean plate. I'm just going to slide. This is a 100 thousandths block, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the preload on it. I've got about, from sitting at rest to where I zero up on it, I've got about 5 thousandths preload there. And then I'm just going to come on and off with 5 thousandths on it and make sure she repeats on zero. So I've got it dialed in pretty good there. And we want to make sure we get a repeatable zero. Okay, that's a 100 thousandths block. I'm going to follow it up with a 101. Just going to pull out the 100 and take it up to 101. Burp. Okay, we popped right up. Put my 100 away. Let's jump up to 104. Okay, feels good. I'm just going to take that 104 and slide that 101 out of there. Okay, so measuring wise, it measures good. Let's take it to a 108. So now I should climb up to 8 thousandths. Okay, so far so good. Let's get that 104 out of there. Let's take it up to 110. We should hit our 110 there. Okay, feels good. Okay, it's starting to climb a little bit. Just a shade, just like a line over 110. Let me put my 108 back. All right. Now let's take it up to, let's see, a 120. That'll be my next gauge. And we're just going to slip that right in there and let it climb up. All right, so I say that's pretty darn good. Now we want to check it, how the spring and the counterbalance spring and everything is inside, and we want to check it on the downhill as it's moving the other direction, and we're going to work our way back to zero. That's very important with these things. If you're taking a tram reading or something like that, you not only want it to read in one direction, you want it to snap back to the other direction and not give you a false reading. So I'm going to take my, I got a 120 under there now. We're going to go back to 110 and make sure it snaps back to 110 crisply and doesn't blow by or even worse, fall short. All right, so it's pretty crisp. It snapped back to 110. Pretty nicely. Let me put my 120 away. Let's take it down to, we're going to put a 105 under there. See how she returns to 105. All right, feels good. Okay, she seemed to fall short there. That is in fact a 105 gauge. We got an actual reading of 105, 106, 107. So that's an error of 2 thousandths. We can double check that. That's on the downhill ramp. As it has to, compensate for downward movement. Let's pull it off and then back up. And look at that, it went right back to 105. So there's definitely some sticky in here, something with the counterweight spring, something's funny. Let's keep going. That was 110. I'll put that away. I've got a 105 under there. Let's take it down to 101. That should just leave us a 1,000th. So we know there's a little bit of stickiness within the gauge, and it's not quite trustworthy, but we need to be able to trust our stuff. Look at that, just hovering. Came down to 104. We should be right at 1,000th right there. So we're going to put our 105 away, slide this out. Actually, we'll slide it back. Yep. And now we're going to come back into it. And there's our 101. So it's definitely got some errors that exist when it's on its way back down. And if you're doing plus or minus type readings, that's poison. You'll get bad readings and you'll end up screwing up your part and you won't know why. So this thing's pretty much ready to go out for service. We put it back down to our 0 point. See if we come off that 1,000th and down to, yeah, it's a 100 gauge block. So that was our baseline. That was our 0 starting point. So I'm just going to back this out and put this in there. And look at that, no movement at all. So there's some type of backlash or something in there. I'm going to come off and then back on gently. And we snap right back to 0. So on the climb, it's doing fine. But as the gauge is descending or whatever you want to call it, or counting down, there is some errors that exist. So no, I don't trust this. And yes, it needs to be sent in for service. My go-to guy is right there. I don't know if it'll even focus on that. So it'll focus on his, yeah, there it is. Mark Rotowski, or at MR Tool Service. You can catch him at MR Tool at 2010@hotmail.com. That's his card, and he does a pretty good job. I'm just going to hide his address for now, but I thought I'd show you his contact info. Does a wonderful job, fast turnarounds, and this little gauge is heading off to him. All right, guys, I thought I'd share my insight on how I check out a gauge, what I can do in the shop without an actual calibration lab. Okay, thanks for watching.